So, right into it, Mr. Corwin, what inspired you to start Rebuild Us LLC, and what is the mission behind your company?
What inspired me to start Rebuild Us LLC? You know, the mission statement originally was, or the mantra was, rebuilding me to help rebuild us.
Mhm.
And you know, this was a period in my life where I was going through a lot. And in trying to really understand myself, understand the trauma that I had gone through in my youth, and I was having a lot of issues in my marriage at the time. I'm divorced, but I was dealing with a lot, and understanding how childhood trauma was affecting my life, and I always had this. I saw the problem. I could identify the problem in other people, but I couldn't readily identify it in myself. But I knew I had to rebuild me before I can help anybody else.
I like that.
And once I was in counseling and really understanding my trauma and how it impacted my life, it was impacting my relationship, the relationship with my children and my spouse at the time, you know, that's when it kind of sparked. It was all about, again, just trying to having that sense of that need, that strong desire to want to help others. But I had to fix myself. So that's where the rebuilding us came from.
I like that. I think I have some childhood trauma myself.
Don't we all? A lot of us do. It's quite a bit. I want to say it was the last statistic that I had read was over 70% of us has experienced childhood trauma in some form or
And I
fashion.
wonder how many of us actually admit
That's the hard part. The hard part is doing the work, and many of us haven't acknowledged that
it. Yeah.
that trauma, and that's where it starts at. So
I get it. I like that. So, how do you manage to balance the variety of services offered by Rebuild Us LLC, from media production to property development?
yeah, so Rebuild does being the parent company, and there are a number of different series companies underneath it. Everything from media and film to uh, development, project development, property development rather, and right down to ride sharing. I saw different aspects of how I could assist and how I could play my part in helping us.
Mhm.
And that's really where it came about. So it was like, what are the different areas that I could have the greatest impact? And I wanted to make sure that I had a section of the company that focused on that. And also, it also helped me better align strategically how I would implement those different sections of my business. Instead of trying to do everything at once, it wasn't feasible. But I knew that if I started with the larger brand of Rebuild Us, and then I build that brand from the media standpoint, and that eventually I could work on those different series and get people in place who can help me run those companies.
Okay.
But they all fall in line. They all are strategically in place to designed to have the greatest impact on people. So like I have property in the Ozarks,
Okay.
and so Rebuild Us Development will assist in the development of that property to one day help those children. We'll talk later more about that later, but
Okay.
and right down to property management, building, putting property there, and assisting to manage those different properties and things that those investments that we'll make in the community.
Okay. What do you think sets Rebuild Us apart from other companies in the same industries?
I think it's important to understand what the competition is doing and who they are, who they
Mhm.
may be. I heard once when I asked a guy who I was trying to develop a mobile app, and I asked him who was his competitors, and he said to me, "Well, I don't pay attention to them."
Mm.
And I thought, how ridiculous is that? Right. Well, first and foremost, you're trying to buy my business. You want me to give you thousands of dollars to invest in something, and you telling me that you haven't bothered to look at who your competitors are, and I'm supposed to believe that you are the best of the best.
Right.
Right. So unbelievable. Here's what I understand from that. Uh, there are plenty of people who are out there who are doing incredible things in film.
Mhm.
And I'm just touching the surface
Right.
in terms of what they're doing and building their media company, a film company. What I would say is for the larger brand, what separates me is to really want to use my company to edify and empower people, to inspire them more than anything. I read this book once called The Science of Getting Rich. And one of the things that he said by Wallace D. Waddles was, so you can't solve poverty by focusing on poverty,
Right.
But what I can do is build my brand, build what I'm trying to do, my businesses, to ultimately inspire those who are impoverished.
Yeah.
And therefore, by, through mentorship and by the things that I'm doing that they see, empower them to do more.
I read a little bit of that book. It mentioned what I got from it is that you need to just change your mindset altogether.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's definitely a paradigm shift in how you think about
Hmm.
building wealth, and it being there's actually steps that you need to walk it out
Yeah.
in order to get there. There's an order in how we do things,
Yeah.
you know. So
Well, I plan on reading the rest of that book.
yeah, it's a
Just
good
haven't
book.
got around to it. These,
Yeah,
these twins keep me pretty busy.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine.
So, what are some of the biggest challenges you face while growing your business, and how did you overcome them?
Well, so the challenges never stop. They never stop.
True.
So, I would say even currently, just trying to, you know, from a business standpoint, there's a lot of things that I would say for those who are interested in going into business, or is something that, maybe they're interested now, but they haven't yet embarked on this journey. There are things that you can do ahead of time. So, like me in my older years now, understanding that I didn't baby my credit, right? There's things that, I didn't focus on because I had
I never
no,
heard it like
I
that. I
had no,
didn't baby my
I
credit.
didn't baby my credit. I didn't focus on those things because I had no frame of reference,
Right.
nor did I think when I first found out that I even had credit and I saw that 770. My first thought was what I could buy,
Right.
right? I didn't think to myself, let me baby this, right? Let me nurture this. Let me take care of this because one day this is going to be instrumental. This is
Right.
going to be the catalyst to assist me in getting catapulting my business even further, right? So it's things like that. If you can, you know, it comes with time,
So
right?
do you
It
think
comes
your
with wisdom.
business, your rebuild us business will help in those areas, or
Absolutely, absolutely.
maybe give
That's
people more knowledge about it? Because I didn't have knowledge about it either.
and a
I
lot of
did mess
people
my
don't.
credit up in the beginning, but I got it fixed.
Sure. And a lot of people don't. And financial literacy is absolutely a part of what Rebuild Us will focus on in
Okay.
our community, assisting in those areas because we need to have financial literacy.
I like that.
Without it, we are further behind the power curve, and so it's very important. So it's things like that that kind of staggered the business, right? And in my growth, I would be much further along, and being able to invest there, learning marketing. And so it's so many different areas that you need to learn that would be absolutely vital to the success of your business,
Okay.
and right down also to nurturing your network and resources, reaching out to people. Me coming from a place of trauma, it was very difficult for me to reach out to people and build those relationships. But I'm understanding how now I understand how important it is to build those relationships with
Yeah.
people as well to help grow your business. Being around like-minded people, a valuable resource to have, and encourage anybody. We can't. I used to say, I said in my book, Road to Nowhere, how you believe that you're on an island alone, and sometimes, especially if you come from a place of trauma, we stay to ourselves, we
Hmm.
isolate ourselves, and then we don't want to stay in that state of isolation. We want to branch out and come out of that being an introvert.
So, how has your past experience in the military, law enforcement, and private security influenced your entrepreneurial journey?
Well, so I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit, and I certainly was creative. It was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Going into the military, prior to going into the military, I lacked any and all kind of discipline. I couldn't spell discipline for you. This may seem odd saying this, but the military was the first place I had gotten that uh, what I would consider tough love, and it felt that way. And that may not be others' experience. So that's not to say that you can paint everybody who's gone to the military with that broad brush. But
Right.
for me, being in the unit that I was in, working with the Marines that I worked with, having that tough, I felt like it was tough love. And then having those father figures that were around me, people who were instrumental in shaping who I am today. And coming out of the military more disciplined than I had been in any other time in my life. And I think that was certainly the precipice that I needed to really spark the creativity and then the motivation to go into business, because I came out of it with that mindset that no excuses, get it done, lead from the front, very valuable in principle in that area. So the military was vital in shaping the person that I am today. They say that the military only enhances who you are.
Yeah. So a
So if
lot of us could have used it.
a lot of us could use the military service, absolutely. I think that if you allow it, again, it can really do wonders in your life. And again, and it's not to speak like I've already arrived at the peak, right,
Right.
at the top,
Of course.
at the mountaintop, but it gave me that motivation to keep climbing, though.
Yeah.
Because I have all the reasons in the world to have given up. When you think about the things that I've gone through in my life, but it's going through those experiences in the military, and in addition to law enforcement, seeing the dark side of society, having that training, again, further discipline, attention to detail, those things save your life. So you absolutely can use that in business, paying attention to the small details, the things that others may miss, because it could be life or death. So while it's not that risk averse when dealing with business, it can be costly, if you don't pay attention to those details. And I certainly, I could say, and obviously this isn't my first endeavor in business, and so I've had plenty of failures. And so, unfortunately, I shouldn't say it's not. I've had to walk this path in order to get to a place now where I know that I'm ready to embark on this next journey phase in my life because of those setbacks that I've had in my life. And it's the military and law enforcement that shaped that.